God is real. Oh, the Bible is real. The Bible is the #1 selling book on the planet many times over. Some people just believe, but they don't really know. Some people believe, but they don't really walk the talk. Should I go to hell because I choose to not believe in God? And so, of course, he had all these Christians calling in. And this is what I found. This is what I found interesting. You like heaven or you like hell? All right, we're going to get into it today. Yes. UNA. Yeah. Welcome everybody. How y'all doing? I'm glad to be here with you on this Monday. We going into it today. Today. The name of this session is. This session is called You Like Heaven or Hell? Drugpa, welcome. You like heaven or hell? Hello, Dr. Glide and File and James and Jose, Manda, User, welcome. We are going into it today. You like heaven or you like hell? All right, we're going to get into it today. Before I go into it, I want to make sure you all know about the UNA membership package. Right here, all right? What does this include? This includes your trust documents, all right? Make sure you are under trust. You're protecting yourself, all of your assets, your job wages, your cars. You're protecting your life, your vessel, all right here with the trust. This comes with, again, the trust, the membership badge. It comes with your allodial ID. And it has, of course, it has your photo on it. On the back, it has a QR code so that you can go in and scan your documents at any point. It comes with an education. Very, very important. We have these tools here. They're powerful, but if you don't know how to use them, then they can't help you, all right? So you get a lot of people who will say, well, I had somebody file my paperwork, and I still ain't free. Well, that's because you don't have the knowledge, all right? You also have the knowledge, and we're going to put them on record for you, all right? So great package. You want to get that, find the link in the bio, or you can go and catch us on UNA University and get the information from there. I'm yours truly, Diva Reed, representing for UNA University and UNARepublic. We're going to get on this. We're going to get on this today. You want to go to heaven or you want to go to hell? And I want to thank all of the people who have been so kind in your comments, in the comments section, and the things you said. Thank you all for liking and sharing. And thank you all for joining and subscribing. My YouTube people, I love you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. My TikTok people, I love you. Go ahead and subscribe and follow and share. All right, let's get on this thing now. Today's session is called, you want to go to heaven or you want to go to hell? Or do you like heaven or do you like hell? God is Diva Reed. Your lives always put a smile on my face. All right, Drugpa, you put a smile on my face. Thank you for joining, and thank you for the love. All my people, Angel and let's see, Servan and Charles, God, Noor, thank you for joining. All right, so now I need to get into this because this weekend I was watching a couple of videos, and I came across this one that was very interesting. It was this little young guy. And he was talking about, he had the question up. He had the question posted, should I go to hell because I choose to not believe in God? And so, of course, he had all these Christians calling in. And this is what I found. This is what I found interesting. And I need to go into this a little bit because I've had my own how do you say, interactions with people on both sides, the Christians and the atheists. And so I understand a lot about both sides. And so I want to get into that. And I want to, as a matter of fact, coming up soon here, I'm going to have sessions where I actually have people call in because I want to have these conversations with people. And as I was listening to this, I wasn't sure if this guy, he was very intelligent guy. He seemed to be more on the atheist side. He might be agnostic, I'm not sure, but agnostic meaning he believes there's some kind of spiritual entity, but he claimed that there is no God. All right, so with that being said, and one of the things that I really steer clear of is trying to tell people, what to believe. If you know, you know. When it comes to religion or whether there's a God or not, you got to know. You just have to know. And some people just believe. So I want to get into this a little bit today. Some people just believe, but they don't really know. Some people believe, but they don't really walk the talk, if you understand what I'm saying. They say, yeah, God is real. Oh, the Bible is real. But they are clueless because when it comes to putting those things that they speak into action, they don't do it. So I want to get into that. But as I was watching this guy, this was what was so interesting to me because he's very, very intelligent. He had very, very good questions. And one of the things, though, that I have learned about the atheists, because I went through my own phase where I was atheist after just watching, I was learning so much and getting so much information to the point where it's like, now, the God that we've been taught about, this God can't exist. Not the one that we have been taught about, because when I'm looking over here, these people in Africa, they starving and all of these wars and all these things are going on. And you telling me that this God exists? And then I went through an atheist phase because I was like, there's something wrong with what I have been told. But then I always knew about religion. I've never been religious. But at a point, it was like, okay, I had this belief in God, what we had been taught. And I want to go through this a little bit today. Again, I don't tell people what to believe, but I've seen both sides. So when we're talking about the atheists, I was actually in an atheist group. And one of the things that I noticed when I was in this group, you'll have in this atheist group, there was this spectrum. A spectrum. On this side, there's these people who were very, very intelligent. They wanted to learn. They wanted to know things, and they would put this information into this group. And it's funny because this atheist group I was in, it was called ARC, of all things, ARC, and it stood for Anti-Religious Chat Room. And you had these people who were so intelligent, and they were searching for knowledge and truth. And then on the other spectrum, you had these truly ignorant and angry and hateful and mean and cruel and disrespectful people. And it was like, I'm watching these people on this side. I'm eating this up because they were putting in information. Anything, you're talking about UFOs, you're talking about law. This is where I learned law from in this atheist group. And anything to do with monetary policy, foreign policy, these people over here, they were on it. And I loved them. But then you got these people over here, they were so angry. They were people who found out that there was a lie, and they were so angry about it, they never tried to find the truth. So there was this, again, this is just what I noticed. And with a lot of atheists, this is what they do. They don't want to know the truth. They just want to argue and hate on Christians or people who call themselves Christians. I'm going to get into the Christian side too. But that's what I noticed. These really angry, hateful people who I found a lie and I'm going to stay on this lie, and I'm going to find other Christians. And so what they would do in this group is it was like hyenas. Like one of them would find a Christian and then they start arguing with the Christian, and then they go back to the group and they say, "Hey y'all, I'm over here. We gotta kill this Christian. Come on over." And then what they do is get the whole group to come over to this channel, and then they would tackle or take turns tag teaming this Christian with all these questions, and they would ask the same questions over and over again. The same questions they had in this argument over here, they'd ask this Christian, and of course this Christian can't answer the question because they don't know nothing about what's really going on except for what they've been told about the Bible, what they've been told about religion, what they've been told about God. They don't know what the true laws is, which is what we talk about. They don't know what these so-called elite know. They don't understand what's really going on in the game. They've just been taught and told there's a God and here's the belief of what this Bible is. Believe in it, and that's that. They're indoctrinated. They haven't studied where the Bible came from, how these stories got here, what's going on with this Bible, what is on the outside of the Bible. Did you read the left out books? Do you understand what was going on in the left out books? Do you know about the ancient scriptures? Do you know about history? But all they can tell you is about, well, the Bible says, and here's the thing about the Bible. The Bible is the #1 selling book on the planet many times over, but read by only 2% of the population. And I don't think even the 2% that read it have a true understanding about what it is that they read. That's me from what I experienced with these people who claim they've read the Bible, and then you go and ask them about it, but they can't really give you an understanding of what it is. They don't know anything about the history of it. Okay, so when I was watching this, I've seen this guy who, and he really didn't come across as being angry. Now, he brought in a friend of his. His friend seemed angry and combative. But this guy was asking questions kind of as though he wanted to see if the Christian could answer it, but they couldn't answer the question. And he had really great questions. One of them, what is sin? And he's like, well, you got aborted fetuses in here. Aborted fetuses didn't sin. Do they go to heaven? And of course, the Christian says, yes, they go to heaven. But then the Christian turned around and say, but the Bible says that we're all born of sin. Well, then why would an aborted fetus go to heaven if it's sin? Because the Bible said that we all sin. So I want to get into that. But his question that he had posted, should I go to hell because I don't believe in God? And then he's making these really, really, and I mean really great and intelligent arguments about why he made one of the questions he had. He says, if God is telling me you either choose me or believe in me or you go to hell, well, isn't that an ultimatum? Isn't that coercion? Isn't that trying to force me into believing him? And I understood his point. And yes, that is coercion. And I need y'all to understand something. Here's the deal, because I wanted to take that call so bad. All right. But he didn't take the call. That's fine. But I need to say this here. Some things that we're not recognizing and understanding about the Bible, about what this God that we're being told about, that's supposed to come back and rescue everybody, and why that is that we're being told that. All right. I want to go into it a little bit, and then I got to get out of here for class. But I'm going to let y'all know, coming up soon, we're going to start having a session where we are taking calls for this, because I really did want to take calls. I've never really done that, taking calls, but because this is a heavy topic. And when we get into it, we're not going to just be going into it from a biblical side or even a Christian side. It's a side that really most people don't talk about. Either you have an atheist over here saying, oh, that's crazy, God doesn't exist, or you have a Christian over here, you got to believe in God because God loves everybody and God, okay, and really not having an understanding about the history of this. So I'm going to go into a little bit of history, and then I'm going to hit it, and I'm going to get up out of here because I got class tonight. Now, I want to go into the Bible and what it is, all right? And then I'm going to, and also if y'all have any questions or comments, I want to hear them. Put them in the comment section. I will get to them before I get up out of here. I want y'all to like and share. If my people in YouTube, make sure you subscribe. And don't forget, before I get into this, the membership package. If you're looking for this with your trust, all right, you can get that in the link in the bio, or find us on UNARepublic. It comes with your membership card, your trust documents, your allodial ID with your picture on it. It comes with an education, so you know how to use these documents, and we're going to put them on record for you. All right, let's go. The Bible, what is it? When we're talking about the Bible, let's understand that it is made up of scriptures. Now, I need y'all to understand, the first Bible that we're told about came in 325 AD with the Council of Nicaea. Now, let's be clear. They want y'all to think those are Albions, by the way. They weren't Albions, all right? These melanated folks. Now, I need y'all to be clear about something. Those scriptures were around long before the Bible ever came into existence. And I need y'all to understand who wrote the scriptures. They not telling you about the Sibyls and the oracles and why those scriptures have so many what we call prophecies in them. That was women. I told y'all many times that people get upset with me. People get upset with me because of the fact that I'm giving you information that nobody has told you about. Why has nobody told you about the Sibyls and oracles? Well, you can go and research them for yourself. That's where those scriptures came from. The scriptures are way older than the Bible was or ever was. And then why is nobody telling y'all about matriarchy? Why we know the term patriarchy, but we don't know the term matriarchy? Because that's where everything came from. The matriarchs, the women used to run everything. All right. So, but what does that have to do, Diva, with the Bible? Well, those scriptures were hers. And she was written out of her own stories. That may be why they call it his story. Here's what I need y'all to understand. And I know this is going to be upsetting for some of you guys. My brothers, y'all know I love you. The people who watch this channel and watch what I speak on, y'all know that I only speak to my brothers with love. But I'm telling you the simple facts, the truth about what's going on. And you got to understand what's going on. You can go and research everything I'm saying. So now you get the scriptures. In 325 AD, you got men who come in and they rewrite her stories. Now, some of y'all are going, nah, what they say, they come from God. And man might have wrote it, but it comes from the hand of God. Well, okay, well then God must have been the women. Because if y'all look at this Bible that you claiming to be quoting from, look in it. Any Bible. I don't care what Bible it is. Look in the front of it. And then I want you to find that little C in there with that circle around it. What does that mean? That means copyright. So somebody tell me, can you copyright God's word? Anybody? No, you can't. You can't copyright God's word because God's word is for everybody. Everybody. So if you telling me you got this book and you got these stories in it and it's copyrighted, it better be your stories because it can't be God's stories because you can't write God's story. So I see somebody here. Thank you, Sonia. Breaking down, and y'all know how much we love etymology. Y'all know how much we love etymology. So breaking down the word scriptures, chores or her, U-R-E-S. I can see if we look up the etymology of U-R-E-S, does that mean hers? All right. So she's saying scriptures meaning script of hers. I mean, even when we look at the word testament, testament means mind. So what a testament is a test of the mind. So Old Testament, New Testament, test of the mind. So I see that. So let's get back to this, because when we're talking about what's happened with these scriptures, she's been written out of her scriptures. This is why when you read in the Bible, you don't see anything in there talking about what her contribution was to society. Because the truth of the matter is, she was the one who owned all of the wealth, all of the riches, all of the knowledge. It came through her. Even when you look at the term, what do we call it? Ma, son, Mason. Ma, son. Ma meaning mother, son meaning offspring of the mother. This is when she started to teach him the esoteric knowledge of what the foundation of this dimension is about. That's what's important. That's what we're missing. But when you start talking about these secret societies, they know the laws. They call them 7 Hermetic principles. We know them as the 12 universal laws. If you don't know those, you are ignorant of the law. And I don't care what you're telling somebody else, you don't really truly understand and fully know how to walk in this dimension, because you don't know the laws. You only know what somebody told you. You can't really see what the truth is. Okay, so we're getting on this. We're recognizing that what the Bible is, it is a retelling of her stories, where she has been written out of her stories, which are those scriptures, especially when we're talking about the Old Testament. Another thing about the Bible, again, I say to you, it cannot be God's perfect word, first of all, because of the fact that it's copywritten. Copyrighted. You can't copyright God's word. But if you change the story, if you make it be something different than what it was, y'all want to know a less tampered with version of the Bible, go and read the book of Jasher. Book of Jasher, Jasher. Book of Jasher. What Jasher means is uprighteousness. It's not a name. But Jasher means uprighteousness. So the book of Jasher is a less tampered with version of the Old Testament. The other reason why I bring that up is because when you read the book of Jasher, what you start to recognize is, wait a minute. There was more than one God, and these gods actually were in communication and contact with the actual people, the humans. They were in contact. Book of Jasher, Jasher. Somebody put it in the comment section. Book of Jasher, put it in the comment section. All right? Because what's important about this is when you start to recognize, first of all, there was more than one God, then you start to recognize these beings were actually walking the planet and doing business and communicating with the humans. Okay. Why is that important? Because somebody gonna say, it's just one God. It ain't but one. It's just one God, Diva. Okay. Well, somebody tell me, my sister who put this scriptures down here, the term Elohim, is that in the Bible? Is the term Elohim in the Bible? Somebody. Thank you, Druckfer. Druckfer said he liked my hair. Thank you so much for the love. All right. Is the term Elohim in the Bible? Somebody? Who? Anybody? What does Elohim mean? Again, going into etymology. The term Elohim, El means God. This is why you see people walking around, their last name El, they, whatever. El means God. Or electrical. Where does that come from? God. O means of. Him meaning many. Elohim, many of gods. Many. Let us make man in our image. And I want y'all women to know, man is in your image, not vice versa. So when you start talking about this rib story, I don't care what man you talk to on this planet who really knows physics or science. they know that there's no way a woman came from a man. And it's not no diss to my brother. Let me make it clear, I love my brother. But scientifically, speaking the pure facts and the simple truth, yeah, he is the essence of the woman, not vice versa. So in understanding this, there's many gods. And in understanding that is right there in the Bible, but somebody has chosen to hide the truth. But when we know etymology, when we start studying and we start understanding what's really going on, okay, now I want to go into this because we're understanding now that there are many gods. They also had names. They had names. And when you read the book of Jasher, you start to see they had different names, but somebody went in the Bible, which is copyrighted and trademarked, which can't be God's word, and they started taking out the names of these gods, most of which were feminine. Most of these gods' names were feminine. They started taking out the names of the gods and putting in terms like God and Lord in the place of the names of these gods, plural. So now, we understand that they had names. That somebody has taken out their names. Somebody has made it where all of these guys are the same entity. Now y'all wondering why this guy seems so schizophrenic. Did God love you on this side and God over here? They hate you over here. Well, why? What you want to be, God? Well, it's talking about more than one God. Now, as I said, has anybody, most of these people have not done history or research or understand where this book even comes from. They don't understand scriptures or anything like that. But let's get into these ancient scriptures coming from the Sumerians, Mesopotamia, the oldest known civilization, Mesopotamia, that place that we know of as today as Iraq. There were many tablets over in Iraq at the time when the United States invaded Iraq. And from my understanding and my research, a lot of those tablets were destroyed. But from those tablets, you'll find a couple of different stories. I'm going to try to say this name, Bhagavad Gita or something like that. That's one of the names. But the other one is the Book of Enki. This is where you start to find out about, the Anunnaki. See, these gods in this Bible were what we know of, some of us who study, as the Anunnaki. And those Anunnaki, of course, they had names. And a lot of the gods, they were feminine. They were feminine beings, and they had the ability to reproduce on their own. A lot of people ask, what do you think they left? I don't think they left at all. As a matter of fact, they can't leave, especially if they put their DNA supposedly in humans. They can't go nowhere. They're going to be with us. So let's understand what's going on. The reason why I'm bringing this up, these gods that are known in the Bible were, according to what my research is showing, Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki are, according to all of this research, they're the ones who are credited with actually creating the human race. Let us make man in our image. All right? All right, Sonia, thank you for that. Sonia says, yes, my sis. No way someone superior man came from someone inferior woman. Women ain't inferior now. Let's get that right. But I think I get your point. So we're getting on this. We're understanding who the Anunnaki were. All right. We're understanding that they were these beings. Or actually, if you're not understanding who they are, go do some research. If you are Bible thumping and you're not understanding how the Bible is very similar to what we're finding from Sumerian translations, I'm encouraging you to do some research. And especially, see, because I don't want to go in on the Christians. I'm going to get on that before I get up out of here. But one of the main things is that we do research and we understand where these things come from. And the reason why I'm pointing out what the Bible is, and that it comes from scriptures that were around long before the Bible was created. And the fact that we've got this Bible here that has twisted the scriptures to the point where the woman has been totally written out of everything. That those are her stories. I mean, when you start doing research, okay, even when you talk about Solomon's story, those of y'all who really want to do research, go look up Solomon's story. Solomon, it's either the Book of Solomon or Solomon's story. Is very hidden. You got to really be looking for it to find it. But when you look up Solomon's story, Solomon is saying a female god is the one who brought the Israelites out of Egypt. That's what Solomon said. Why is Solomon's story not in the book? Because it contradicts what's going on in the Bible. See, again, as I've told you all before, all of your religions are patriarchal, meaning they were created for the purpose of subjugating and taking over the woman. They were purposely created to subjugate her and take her over. Now, see, this is when I start getting into what happened with the woman and the man and why she's in the place where she is now. Yeah, she's been subjugated. Her stories have been taken from her. Her knowledge has been taken from her so that she can be the slave. All right, it's the same thing with what happened with melanated folks and how their knowledge of who they are has been taken from them. Same thing with the government and how the government has taken the knowledge of the people and how the people are over the government. I can keep going on and on. It's just a cycle. At some point we wake up and rewrite this. We rewrite it at some point. Thank you for the love, Cole. All right. So getting into this, we're recognizing that, okay, the woman has been subjugated. The stories, the scriptures, they were her stories. That there are things that are hidden. This is why I encourage you all to study, because if you don't study, you won't ever know it. You won't recognize the fact that a lot of these characters in the Bible that they're making out to be male, but they were female. I'm not going into it today. I just want to hit you with it so that you can understand this game. So understanding what the Bible is, okay, that we can take this thing all the way back to the Anunnaki if we're really wanting to understand who these gods in the Bible were and understand the fact that there were several of them. And in those of us who've done our research, we know there was Anunnaki that loved the humans and there was Anunnaki who hated them and tried to kill them. Those of us who've done this story, and done our research rather, we know there was Anunnaki that tried to kill the humans. Because they didn't like the humans, because y'all be having too much sex and you keep them awake at night. Thank you, Big Matt. Big Matt says matriarch was first. Yes, the matriarch was here first. And then patriarch, where the males came in and they took over the woman. But again, I go into how she's not a victim, so I won't go into all of that today. Because the woman did some dirt, and as the woman starts to clean herself up, then this planet got to clean up. As melanated folks start to become awake and clean themselves up, then this planet got to clean up. All right. So I want to go into a little bit dealing with how the Anunnaki, again, we've taken the Bible and we can find that these so-called gods in the Bible are really the Anunnaki, according to what we're seeing with history, and how there were these Anunnaki. As a matter of fact, we're talking about the flood. Now, when I do the research and I do the reading on this, part of what was going on around the time of the flood was on the Anunnaki. They did it. They created that. The other part, I couldn't tell if it was natural or unnatural, the whole flood thing. But one of the things that I do know is, I got to tell this story because this is one of my favorite stories to tell about what I read about the Anunnaki. So for those of y'all who don't know, there's 3 characters that I'm going to introduce. I'll say 4. So one of them is Enlil, who was the one who was over the organization or the operations going on planet Earth. He was the one in charge. Then you had Enki. He was the older brother. All right. But Enki was the scientist. He knew how to manipulate DNA and bring things back to life and things like that. That's what he did. He was the scientist guy. And then you had Ninma. She was the sister. She was a nurse. She was the one really who knew how to bring things to life. And then Enki was the one who knew how to manipulate DNA, because that's what he had been doing for some time. And then there's Anu. That was the father. All right. So what ends up happening is that I want to go into this real quick and then I'm going to get out of here. But in dealing with those characters, Enki had this idea to create a slave race, because this Igigi that they brought, and the Igigi was a second class. They were known as a second class people from Nubaru. So all of these characters I'm telling you about, these are characters from Nubaru. And what happens is that Enki, when they got to Nubaru, they had these Igigi. And the Igigi was like, man, it's hot. Whoo, I can't, we ain't gonna do this no more. We hot. We are not gonna be slaving for this gold. Listen, y'all gonna do something, because we are not gonna keep slaving. And they kidnapped, I think they kidnapped Enki or one of Enki's people and held them hostage until the conditions got better. All right. So they had this whole thing where they had to get this gold. They had to get the gold because they were trying to save Nubaru. All right. But the Igigi were revolting, and Enki had this idea. He's like, I can create another being. All right. This is Enki. Enlil, the younger brother, the one who was in charge of everything, was like, no, we can't do that. We're not supposed to create slaves. Listen up and pay attention. These people, or these beings, they were well aware of universal law. But they were not, they were ill-mannered. Let's make that clear. Y'all go back and read any of the Sumerian translations or the Sumerian text, and you see what these beings were doing. Oh, they were ill-mannered. No different than humans. They were ill-mannered. And so what happens is Enki decides he wants to create another race, but his brother is saying no, because that's against universal law. All right. So they asked the father, Anu, and Anu was like, look, well, can you do it, Enki? Are you sure you can do it? And Enki's like, yeah, I got it, Dad. I can handle this. I can knock it out, because I know how to create men. So I'm going to mix this one with this one, and I'm going to mix it together, and then they're going to have the hands we need. They're going to, and the other thing is, he's like, they're going to be able to take the atmosphere on the planet. Okay. Dark skin, people. Dark skin. Because they couldn't take the sun. And so anything that was created for this planet, of this planet, well, it better be able to take the sun. What you think melanin is and what it's for? Okay. So they create this human race. All right. They had several different groups of them. It was 2 at least, according to my research, because the first one started to devolve. But at any rate, the bottom line of this is, at some point, the humans became too plentiful, and there was a flood. Now, my research is showing that there's been more than one flood. There have been several. But the one that I'm telling you about now is the late. I'm guessing it's the latest one, so I can't say that for sure. But here's what I can say that you can see for yourself. When whomever the person is that first came to the planet, because it wasn't Enki or Enlil, it was another guy who Anu had beaten for the spot as the king on Nibiru. But he came here with nuclear weapons. And I'm going to show you something. I want you to go and take a look. All right. And you're going to need to get a map. Just go to Google and zoom in, zoom out, zoom all the way out on the map. And I want you to take a look. When the time came for the flood, and again, I'm not sure if that flood was natural or not. I doubt it was. They had done something, these Anunnaki, to cause it. But at this time, Enki was very aware that, oh my goodness, a flood is coming. We need to save the humans. Enlil was like, no, you don't. You're going to shut your mouth. You're going to shut your mouth. And Enki was like, but we got to save the humans. Some of them are good humans. All of them are not bad. And Enlil was like, no, they all going to die. We're going to make sure they die. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to set these nuclear bombs off. Pay attention. Pay attention. Because you're going to be able to see it for yourself. He says, they all need to die. And he purposely set bombs across the planet. One of them, if you go and look in Africa, and you're going to see this land, it looks light. So everything, you'll see green up here and green down here on this map. But across Africa and across what we call the Middle East, you'll see this light patch. And that is where the clouds or the wind carried those nuclear clouds during that time when they set this bomb off. When y'all do your own research, what you're going to find is those places that look like desert land over there in what we know of as the Middle East and Africa, they originally were fertile land. When you do your research, you're going to find out this was somebody nuclear activated this territory. That's what's not being told. So what has happened is, this is where you can see, you go and read the left out books, you read the Sumerian tablets or whatever, and you find out about how these bombs were set off across the planet. And then you can go and look on the map and you see how the clouds, these nuclear clouds were carried across the land. That is what was set off by Enlil. And I need y'all to understand, when you do that kind of dirt where you try to kill off the humans, well, you kill yourself. Pay attention. This is why they always talk about love and love. If you want to conquer evil, love. You can't conquer evil by being evil. And when you create something, you can't just go and try to destroy it, because that is a universal law. There's a principle in there. This is why Enlil, and if you see, again, I understand what Enlil was saying. It's like, you can't create humans because you can't create slaves, because you're going against universal principles. When you create a slave, you have to become a slave. What? That don't make no sense, does it? When you enslave something, then you become enslaved to that thing. What am I talking about? All right, let me give you an example. When you want to own something, then you are enslaved to that thing. So let's say I love this car. You love that car. That's a nice car. And you want to own that car. Well, when you own that car, all right, it's a slave to you, but you're a slave to it. You got to pay the bill. You got to keep the tires on it. You got to keep the insurance up. You got to make sure it's wise. You got to make sure there's maintenance on it of all kinds. You are a slave now to this thing you enslaved. Okay, let's talk about it on a DNA level. All right. When they created a slave, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to talk about it on a spiritual level. When they created a slave, somebody who's supposed to do all the work for them, well, by universal law, when you put out an energy, it must come back. So now you're going to have to be a slave to them in some kind of way. That's a spiritual law. I just gave it to you on a legal perspective so that you can see it out here. But spiritually, it works the same way. Molecularly, it works the same way. And we're talking about, okay, Some of y'all have done some research on a molecular level when we talk about the mitochondria, who produces all of the energy that we need to just move around, just to move my hands like this. That's the mitochondria working up in me. She's doing her thing right now, just like that. But when we talk about the entity that she needs to produce that, that's the hydrogen atom. Y'all, I'm going deep now. So I go all levels on it. Y'all ready to go? This is the place where you want to be. But just on a molecular level, she is pimping that hydrogen atom. Yeah. Well, then she gets pimped by the cell, the mitochondria. She enslaved the hydrogen, then she turns around and gets enslaved by the cell. I don't care if you're talking about an animal cell or a plant cell, from a lizard or a fish. She got enslaved too. All right. So I need y'all to understand, this thing is deep. All right. I want y'all to know I love you. I got to go to class. Listen, we're ready to get this thing going where I want to have y'all to call in, because I do want to start talking to you, having these deeper conversations, and I'm going to have time. We're going to take some time where I'm going through this and making sure that all of us on the same page. I want y'all to know I love you. I love you. I love you. Give me a hug. I got to get out of here. I got to go to class. Bye. I love you. Bye-bye. I got to go. I'm out. Peace.